Hello and welcome. In this presentation, we will provide in-depth information about the 24 to 25 FAFSA and CADA updates. As a friendly reminder, the 24 to 25 free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA, will be pushed back from October 1st, 2023 to sometime in December 2023. In this presentation, there will be four main points that you will learn from. They are listed as follows: types and sources of financial aid, essential information about the FAFSA, key changes to the 24 to 25 FAFSA, and how to appeal for more financial aid. First, we have the types and sources of financial aid. We have two categories of aid: self-help and gift aid. For self-help aid, there's the Federal Work Study program, which allows you to work on an on or off-campus job to receive financial aid. The second is loans, which is considered self-help because you will be paying back the money in the future. For gift aid, you have grants and scholarships. Grants are given to you based on your eligibility and whether you meet the requirements for the specific grant. Scholarships may also have some eligibility requirements, and you will usually have to submit a separate application to receive this form of aid. You do not have to pay back money that is given to you through gift aid as long as you maintain the specific requirements. There are five sources of financial aid: the federal government, the state government, the institution that you attend, third-party donors, and employers. Be sure to look for opportunities from each of these sources, since they all may have potential aid for you. The second section contains essential information about the FAFSA. The first thing you must know is which application you should complete. If you are a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, you will complete the FAFSA. If you do not have a Social Security number, have TPS status or a U visa, and have AB 540 status, please complete the California DREAM Act application. There are five financial aid programs provided by the federal government. The first is Pell Grant, which is up to $7,395 a year. You can receive up to 600% of your annual Pell amount in your lifetime. The Federal Supplemental Education and Opportunity Grant is up to $4,000 a year, and priority is given to Pell-eligible students. The Federal Work Study amount varies by school, but this offers both on-campus and off-campus employment. The direct student loan can be both subsidized and unsubsidized. The amount you can borrow is between $3,500 and $12,500. For the subsidized loan, you will not have to pay interest on those loans during periods where you are enrolled in at least half of the units for full time. If you are not eligible for federal student aid, you may be eligible to complete the California DREAM application. To qualify for California financial aid, you must be AB 540 eligible, have or will graduate from a California high school, or have attained a GED or received a passing mark on the California High School Proficiency Exam. Register or currently be enrolled at an accredited institution of higher education in California, and not hold a valid non-immigrant visa. Demonstrate financial need and meet all other program requirements. There are also five state student financial aid programs. First, there is Cal Grant, which contains three different types of grants, A, B, and C. The next is the Student Success Completion Grant, which provides up to $4,000 if you meet the requirements. The Chafee Grant is $5,000 given to individuals that were in foster care for at least 1 day between the ages of 16 and 18. The California College Promise Grant is a tuition waiver that covers the cost of tuition for eligible students. You do not receive usable funds for this grant. Instead, you do not have to pay tuition. There are also college-based aid programs that vary by institution, so be sure to check with your campus for available aid. What is the free application for federal student aid? The FAFSA is an application used to apply for student aid, such as grants, work-study funds, and loans. It collects student and parent income, tax, assets, and household information. and it calculates the Student Aid Index, SAI, a measure of the family's financial strength. Which year's information is reported? Your assets are reported the date you file your FAFSA, and the income is based on the tax year 2 years before the term that you are applying for financial aid. For example, if you're filling out the 2024 to 2025 FAFSA, you will be using taxes from 2022. If your family income has changed within that time, file an appeal with your college's financial aid office. You should file the FAFSA on or after October 1st of your senior year in high school and annually after that. The sooner you file for aid, the more likely you are to qualify for aid and receive more grants. Note that the 2024 to 2025 FAFSA will become available sometime in December of 2023. The exact date has not been released yet. There is a priority deadline of March 2nd to file the FAFSA or CADA to qualify for certain grants. But for the 24 to 25 school year, the priority deadline has been pushed to April 2nd, 2024. The FSA ID is a digital signature that is used to sign the FAFSA and Master Promissory Notes for federal loans. It allows you to access federal student aid websites. Each person creates their own FSA ID with their social security number and date of birth. Your social security number is no longer needed for parents who are not U.S. citizens. Be sure to avoid common mistakes, including switching social security numbers, a parent accidentally creating a password for the student, and vice versa. You should take extra caution to avoid common application errors, as they can delay or change your financial aid. Do not confuse student with parent information. Switch child support paid with child support received. Report value of qualified retirement plans or family homes as assets. And do not report 529 college savings plans based on the beneficiary instead of the owner. You should also double check all basic demographic items, including name, date of birth, social security number, email address, and zip code. We are now moving on to the key changes for the 2024 to 2025 FAFSA. Here is a summary of the key changes to the FAFSA. The number of questions has dropped from 106 to 46. Some questions removed, including housing choices, selective service, drug conviction, and taxable income questions. Students can now list up to 20 colleges. The online FAFSA will be available in the 11 most common languages in the U.S. Paid preparation is no longer permitted, and fewer FAFSAs are selected for verification. There will now be more aid for single parents. This applies to two types of single parents: dependent students with just one parent and independent students who are single parents. More student and parent income will be sheltered from the financial aid formula. There is now greater eligibility for the maximum Pell Grant amount, and for single parents, the adjusted gross income must be less than 225% of the poverty guideline, and for non-single parents, it is now less than 175%. Only one parent must complete the FAFSA when the parents are divorced, separated, or never married. The parent filling out the FAFSA is the one who provides the most financial support, not the parent that the student has lived with the most. If this parent has remarried as of the date the FAFSA is filed, the step-parent's income, assets, and dependents must be reported on the FAFSA. Definition of family size has now changed. Family size is now based on the student's parents or spouse, if there is any, and dependents from an applicable income tax return. There is now new terminology. A contributor refers to anyone asked to provide information on a student's FAFSA form. Consent means that all students and contributors must provide consent to federal tax data to be transferred, used, and shared. Expected contribution, or EFC, has now changed to Student Aid Index, SAI. Estimated Financial Assistance, EFA, now changes to Other Financial Assistance, OFA. Here is some more information that is helpful to know. If a student or required contributor doesn't provide consent to have their federal tax information transferred into the FAFSA form, the student will not be eligible for federal student aid, even if they manually enter their tax information into the FAFSA form. Information about how the federal tax information will be used and the consequences of not providing consent will be included on the FAFSA form. Here are the new steps for contributors. Step 1. The contributor receives an email informing them that they've been identified as a contributor. Then, the contributor creates a studentaid.gov account if they don't already have one. Step 3. The contributor logs into an account using their FSA ID, account username, and password. Step 4. The contributor reviews information about completing their section of the FAFSA form. And finally, the contributor provides the required information on the student's FAFSA form. Important: if you are a contributor, that does not mean you have financial responsibility. However, if you are a required contributor and do not provide information, it will result in an incomplete FAFSA form and that student cannot receive aid. There are now new FSA ID requirements. All students and contributors must create a studentaid.gov account to complete the FAFSA form online. To log into their accounts, students and contributors will now use their FSA IDs, the account username and password. Even if a contributor doesn't have a social security number, they can still get an FSA ID to fill out their portion of the student's FAFSA form online. And note, the student must be a U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen to be eligible for federal student aid. Need is calculated by cost of attendance minus SAI minus OFA. SAI is the dollar amount unused to determine eligibility for need-based aid. The information provided by contributors on the FAFSA is used to calculate SAI. SAI will replace EFC starting in the 2024 to 2025 award year. A student's SAI can be a negative number down to negative 1,500. The student aid report is now called a FAFSA Submission Summary, FSS. After the student completes the online FAFSA, a FAFSA Submission Summary is sent to the student. An electronic FSS is sent if a student email address is provided. A paper summary is mailed if no student email address is provided. An electronic copy of the data is sent to each college or university listed in Section 2. A student should keep a copy of the FSS with other financial aid documents. The last section contains instructions on appealing for more financial aid. There are 3 new changes to the use of personal judgment. The first is that there will be a distinction between special circumstances. Next, all professional judgment requests will be considered and prior determinations of dependents will now be accepted. Lastly, there will be updates to acceptable documentation. Special circumstances are financial situations leading to changes to data elements in your COA or EFC, which will now be SAI. This includes changes to family income, assets, etc., recent unemployment, being a dislocated worker, or a housing change due to homelessness. Unusual circumstances are conditions that change a student's dependency status. This includes human trafficking, refugee or asylee status, parental abandonment, incarceration, etc., being unable to contact parents, and contact with parents poses risk. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions or want to know more, contact us via email or phone, and you can navigate our website for general financial information.